Well, today we have a great guest who is a part of the solution. His company is trying to bring something to market that would really, I think, unlock the aviation ecosystem even more. So, Shasta, who do we have coming on this week?
So our guest on Uplink is Kevin Antcliff, who is the Director of Product for X-Wing. Antcliff is a Virginia Tech graduate who earned his bachelor's and master's degree in aerospace engineering. He has worked for NASA for over 6 years, serving in roles like the Deputy Lead of Emerging Applications and Technologies in the Aeronautics System Analysis Branch. In his role, Antcliff led the development of a white paper in collaboration with experts from the industry and academia to cast a vision of regional air mobility, which is also known as RAM. As defined by NASA, regional air mobility seeks to change how people travel, which will unlock opportunities in locations that are underserved by commercial air services to travel more efficiently and sustainably.
So X-Wing recently had some big news. A few weeks ago, they submitted a project specification certification plan to the FAA, and this would allow X-Wing to become the first standard category large unmanned aerial system to receive official project designation. What this means is this is the beginning of a process for approval of uncrewed commercial cargo operations in the national airspace. X-Wing, they have developed autonomous technology that they are applying to existing aircraft platform that would be able to, as I said, unlock the rest of the aviation ecosystem. So we have a great conversation with Kevin where he talks to us about advanced air mobility and regional air mobility and what that would mean to the ecosystem.
Let's take a listen. Kevin Antcliff, welcome to the Uplink podcast. How are you doing today?
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, Kevin, I just have a few questions for you. You are the Director of Product at X-Wing, and we'd love to just talk to you a little bit about regional air mobility, which you've done some research and work on. So we'll just kind of dive into it.
Sounds great to me.
So compared to other emerging innovations like eVTOLs and hybrid electric propulsion, why is autonomous aviation important to improving regional air mobility?
Great question. So in the white paper that I helped write back in 2021, there was kind of a short definition of RAM there of just less than 20 passengers or equivalent payload, 50 to 500 miles or so, 80 to 800 kilometers. So in that realm of kind of this short distance small aircraft, you're looking at kind of two main technologies, and you've mentioned, right, eVTOLs, hybrid electric propulsion. So kind of the electric propulsion side and the autonomous systems side. And, throughout my career, started back in 2009 at NASA and worked on kind of both of these realms of electric propulsion, autonomous systems, those two major breakthroughs that enables this new advanced air mobility. But really a lot of that is looking at these small passengers. All of these new concepts that we're seeing come out, both in UAM and RAM, are very small, right? And so looking at the advantages of autonomous systems and how that applies to RAM, as well as a lot of these other, right, vertical takeoff and landing, short takeoff and landing, however you want to take off and land. They're typically this small aircraft. And so let's just picture a 5-passenger aircraft and look at autonomous systems and say, okay, if we've got a 5-passenger aircraft and you're taking one of those seats for a customer, obviously you're missing a paying customer as well as paying the pilot to sit in that seat. That obviously has a huge impact on the overall economics of these small aircraft. You've got idle transfer time loss, lodging per diem, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of cost factors that come into that, as well as really location restrictions, right? And it will really start to shift many of the crew availability constraints, pilot rest requirements, and kind of what we're describing as our super pilot system at X-Wing is really trying to take the pilot off the aircraft, have them in a mission control center, to be kind of a operator or supervisor on the loop and taking that kind of approach. And so with that approach, you no longer have these pilots going out to small communities or Tillamook or many of the places we fly. So we've got a Part 135 carrier that we operate cargo feeder routes for UPS, which is going to be a lot of my examples. So I'll just bring it up front. But we are, flying out to these small communities And then there's very difficult to find, okay, how do we get this pilot back out to that small community? And so being able to have that shift that brings the pilot into the mission control center allows them to operate or supervise the aircraft from there. There's a lot of huge advantages to that. And I think when you're looking at all of the small aircraft in very dense airspace, right, looking at some of the urban air mobility type missions, really having more control over how that aircraft is going to operate. And it really also provides significant amount of what I'll call network effects, right? Rather than having kind of these fixed routes and fixed assets, you can generally have a much more fluid movement of aircraft and resources throughout the region, being able to follow demand wherever it might be, even excite demand, right? Market it, try to get the right types of shift, but being able to actually move the asset around regardless of where the pilot needs to end up at. So that's just kind of a few things of why that autonomous aviation is really going to be a massive shift in how we're able to move some of these smaller aircraft around.